Bhutan is globally known for its unique development philosophy called gross national happiness, which places people's well-being at the heart of progress. To understand more about what GNH truly means and why it matters today, we are joined by Dr. Kinley Dorji, a former secretary, a former journalist, and now with the communications department of GMC. Welcome, Ladasho.
Thank you.
My first question is, for those hearing the word GNH or gross national happiness for the first time, what does GNH truly mean, La?
GNH actually means values. The value systems, for example, that Bhutan evolved over the centuries. Values like, respect for nature, preserving culture, governance for a small country in a large region, in a large world. So these are the values that GNH is all about. What has happened is the terminology has been changing. Like gross national happiness is a pun on gross national product, which came before GDP. What we are saying is that economic value, economic development alone is not good enough for human development. That there is a higher goal, and that is happiness. That's what we are trying to say, that the world is chasing GDP. We're saying, no, we should have a higher goal for human development.
Many people believe that happiness is actually very difficult to measure, La. So how does Bhutan actually measure GNH or happiness, La?
Now, Bhutan, having said that, having declared gross national happiness as a goal for development, then came the questions. People who were interested, the media became interested, intellectuals and academics, different countries picked it up. And the question was, how do you measure it? If it's a goal for development, how would you measure it? Now, that actually put a bit of pressure that made us think about it and helped us develop the academic construction around GNH. Like, for example, these priorities like the environment, culture, sustainable economic development. By the way, Bhutan talked about sustainable development before the term became popular. So we defined these priorities. Now these priorities were expanded into domains and then what they call indices to do surveys around the country so that we can talk to the people, find out what is important for the people. And their priorities then become government policy, government priorities, and government strategies. So that was the process going on. When we talked about GNH, when the discourse picked up, of course, what happened was, writers, filmmakers, the media picked it up, and people wrote articles, people wrote books, people made films on GNH. But I must say that most of them were their interpretation of GNH. Some of them with different agendas, some of them with different purposes. So that is the overall discourse going around the world. People explaining GNH as they want to see it, as they intend, and based on their own agendas.
Lesla, so how has GNH impacted Bhutan's development or the society over the years, La?
GNH has defined Bhutan. These are the values, these are the priorities that exist, that define the Bhutanese identity. For example, because of our reverence for the environment, the Constitution of Bhutan requires that we preserve 60%, at least 60% of our land as forests. Then we have the culture. We have strong emphasis on culture as the essence of the Bhutanese identity. Then Bhutan is cautious. Bhutan has taken a cautious approach to development, not to be brash, not to go after GDP, not to go after material development, and to be mindful about our own development goals.
Now, when we are talking about impact, how do you think the philosophy of GNH can benefit the rest of the world?
The value system for Bhutan will not change. The terminology will keep changing. For example, now we had GNH. Now today we talk about mindfulness. We talk about the Gyelefu Mindfulness City, which is one of the big stories, perhaps the biggest story of the transformation Bhutan is going through today. The king of Bhutan's vision is Gilifo Mindfulness City. The Gilifo Mindfulness City also implies that it's not that prosperity is also important. We call it mindful prosperity. That is not wealth. There's been a misconception that wealth is not important, that you have to be poor to be happy. But that's not true. The GNH, mindfulness, says that prosperity is important to an extent, and that it's not the wealth, but what you do with the wealth, the intentions of the wealth. That's why Gilifo Mindfulness City has a goal, which we describe now as mindful prosperity.